Hey, welcome back to another video on overcoming retroactive jealousy. My name is Matt, and in today's video, we're going to talk about 5 tips on dealing with your partner's ex. 5 different ways you can deal with them, whether in a present jealous moment or a retroactive jealous moment. And this is kind of going to be split into 2 different parts, depending on what your situation is, how your partner's ex is a part of their life. Are they actually a part of their life in the physical sense that they have remained friends with them and they still talk to them? Or is it a retroactive jealousy sense where the ex is no longer a part of their life, however you still think about it? So we'll split this up into 2 kind of different portions to make it easier for you to understand and have it relate more to your situation. So the first one we'll talk about, the first situation is going to be if your partner and their ex have decided to stay friends. So how does that affect you? Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of jealousy that's going to spark up, I'm sure, at least at first. If you're a retroactive jealousy sufferer, you're definitely going to feel some jealousy in this moment. So it's important that without giving into like a compulsion to just try to make yourself feel better, it's important that in this case that you understand, really, you have a conversation with your partner as to why they're friends with their ex, and not in a facetious, a bad way, but really try to understand. You want to set those boundaries. For a healthy relationship, that's very important to set those boundaries. You want to make sure that you want to hear really what they have to say, that are you friends with them because, yeah, I really care about this person. Our relationship didn't work out, but we're really good friends. Or, we were really good friends before we started dating. It didn't work out for us. So now, we're just friends. We talk on occasion, whatever the case is. Set those boundaries and kind of understand, like, okay, this is what they plan to do. Talk on occasion, da-da-da-da-da. So you can kind of oversee that, and if it starts getting more and more and more and more and more kind of out of that comfort zone, kind of expanding those boundaries a little bit, then you can sit down and have a appropriate conversation with your partner. Again, not as a compulsion, not to stop from feeling bad right this minute, but to really understand, to really get a feel for it as to, what's happening here, coming from a standpoint of, I want this relationship to last, I love you, and I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, on the same boat. So if that's the case and they're remaining friends and you can really set the boundaries and understand that it's just a friendship, that's a really good way to kind of, solidify where you're at. If the jealous thoughts do still come up, even after your significant other has told you what those boundaries are and are still obeying, quote unquote, those boundaries, if you're still receiving jealous thoughts, okay, now that's an internal thing. That's an insecurity. That's something that, you need to work on yourself, your confidence, and to overcome that. And there'll be plenty of videos and things like that. There's plenty of videos already out there on things like that. So that's number 1. Now, number 2, if you have this conversation with them and you don't really feel satisfied with what they've told you, if you feel like, I know this is kind of big in men. Sometimes men enjoy having girls kind of fight over them, having a girlfriend, but also having an ex that wants them back. And sometimes men have their own insecurities, and they use that as like a compulsion for themselves, for their own insecurities, like an ego trip. Like, I got 2 girls talking to me. It could be same with a female too. I got 2 boys talking to me. Look at me go. And sometimes they'll use that to destabilize you, to, again, make you feel insecure about yourself, to make themselves feel good. And this is a completely, twisted internal struggle with your partner if that's what they're doing to you. But if they are using their ex as a way to make you feel insecure, then this is really not a healthy relationship. You're going to need to figure out what you want to do. Like, do you really want to be with this person who's intentionally trying to make you feel bad? That's not a relationship. That's your partner having problems with themselves that they might need to figure out on their own, and it's not going to be good for your relationship. So that's important if your significant other is still talking to their ex on a friendship basis. Where are those boundaries? Understand where their mind is at. And if it's really a friendship, trust what they say. Just trust them. Put that full faith in them and trust them. Otherwise, you're going to twist up your brain, twist up your mind by coming up with different scenarios. Trust them. But, if you see in the long run that, hey, they're talking to them more and more and more, hey, they're doing things behind my back, whatever the case is, and you feel that this is going to be toxic to the relationship, you either got to set bigger boundaries or you need to find somebody else, because at that point, it just might not be healthy. So those are the two ways if your ex is still friends with, your significant other is still friends with their ex. That's two ways to kind of deal with it. So now we'll mix in kind of the retroactive jealousy aspect of it. So this is if your partner is no longer friends with their ex, doesn't even talk to their ex, but you still feel triggered by the thought of their ex coming into your mind. Whether it's a mental movie of them having sex, whether it's a mental movie of them going on a date, whether it's a picture that you saw of them and you get triggered and you feel that anxiety response. How can you deal with those moments? And a big one that happens a lot is when you're out with your significant other, when you're out with your partner at a restaurant, at a bar, at a movie, whatever it is, and their ex walks in the door. Unexpected by either of you. Just a random act of it's a small world after all, right? And they come on in and you see them, you make eye contact with them, and boom, you feel that trigger. And you feel that anxiety and you feel that emotional response and your mind's racing, you're going everywhere. What do you do in those moments to keep your cool, to not give in to compulsions, not ruin the date? What can you do? So the first one that I always recommend is to stay present. Stay present, because remember, all of this retroactive jealousy, all this jealousy stuff is happening in our mind. It's really not real. It's just our mind playing tricks on us. It's our mind telling us that you're in danger, you're about to die, do something, get out of it, fight or flight. But that's not happening. Their ex, I don't think, is a saber-toothed tiger. Their ex, I don't think has a knife in their hand or anything like that. You're not in danger. Their ex just happened to come into the same place that you are. So stay present, breathe. Get back to that breathing moment. Get back to feeling your breath, because that's going to instantly ground you and calm you down. We've talked about in other videos feeling the energy shooting out from your hands. Like if you just don't focus on anything, almost close your eyes and just focus and feel, you can feel the energy coming out from your hands. And that's a huge thing. It's a physical sensation. You're staying in the present. If you're sitting down at a booth, at a table or something, feel your butt on the seat. Feel your leg or your feet on the ground. Anything to ground you, to put you in this present moment, to make you realize that this jealousy is not actually real. This is my brain playing tricks on me. This is just a person that walked into a bar or a restaurant that I happen to be at, and I'm having a trigger to it that is fake, that is false, that's not necessary. So if you can kind of, get to that moment where you can stay present, calm that anxious response, you'll have success in that moment. You won't feel the need to then do a compulsion afterwards to have a long conversation or ask questions to your significant other, or say, oh, we can't be here anymore, that's your ex, and try to flee away from the situation. You don't need to do any of that. So for that, I would just say, remain in the present moment as best as you can, breathing, physical sensations, whatever you can do, and that will ground you, and that will kind of take you out of your mind and back into the physical, understanding what is truly happening and not what your brain is actually telling you to happen. So number 2, if this situation does happen where they come and walk into a restaurant or whatever the case is, this is your chance to use it as a learning process. And I know that's not what people want to hear. Oh, I don't want to put in the steps. I don't want to do what we've been talking about. I don't want to do all this. I just didn't want their ex to come into this restaurant. How could, out of everything, or this movie theater, how could it be? Out of all the movie theaters in the world, they came to this one. No, this is the perfect opportunity for a learning experience. So as we've talked about in past videos, triggers are actually good. When you're triggered and you don't give into a certain compulsion and you allow the feeling in, and that's the key to overcoming retroactive jealousy. That's the big one right there. So you can even go as far as to practice confidence at this point. You're probably not going to want to do this. You're not going to feel like you want to do it, but I challenge you to do it anyway. Remember, we've talked about with retroactive jealousy, if you let the jealousy control you, it will permanently control you or control you for a much, much longer time. But if you act despite of how you feel, you are now in control, right? So get up, introduce yourself to their ex, shake their hand, tell them who you are in a nice, friendly way. Again, just the thought of this might make you feel super anxious, but this is you practicing confidence. This is you staring your insecurities in the eye and telling them who's in charge. Again, this is what overcoming retroactive jealousy, not just RJ, but jealousy in general in relationships is all about, is just being that super confident, non-insecure person that's able to, quote unquote, be the better man, stand up, shake a hand and say, hi, this is who I am. How are you? What's going on? Da, 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 da. It's not going to kill you. It's going to make you stronger. It really, really is. Again, it probably won't feel good. You're probably not going to want to do it, but use this moment as a huge moment of practice. And that's a big moment right there. That's something, an ex, and you're going up to him, this person that you can't get out of your mind, these mental movies and images and things like that really bother you, and you're willing to get up and shake their hand and say, hi, nice to meet you, how are you? That's extremely, extremely powerful, and that's going to go a long, long, long way in, becoming the greatest version of yourself. So try that. It's huge. It might feel sucky, but it's huge. So the final one we're going to talk about, and I kind of motioned to it before, is that these triggers are good. Any jealousy triggers are good. Remember OCD, the obsessive thought comes in, or you see something that causes that anxious response and you need to do something, you need to put an end to that feeling right now. You have to give into a compulsion, you have to give into the fight or flight response, whatever it is. But if you can actually do, again, nothing at all, feel the emotion run through you, but do not give into the compulsion, simply feel it, and then refocus on what you were doing. Refocus, again, if you're watching a movie at a movie theater, refocus on the movie. If you're out with friends and the ex happens to show up, refocus on the conversation with their friends, whatever it is. But if you can not give in to a compulsion, not feel like you have to change the situation, understand what's really happening, even say like an affirmation to yourself, like, this is just my brain, this is just my OCD flaring up. There's no reason for this to affect this day, to ruin this moment. I'm okay, I'm good, I'm alive. Easy as that. If you can do that, you'll feel that those anxiety levels start dropping, right? You'll start getting out of your head again, or you're basically telling your brain again that I'm in charge. You can say what you want, do what you want, give any emotional response you want, but I'm going to go back to having a great time on my date. So again, it's feeling that triggered response, which again doesn't feel good. You're going to want to maybe do something. You're going to want to maybe flee. You're going to maybe want to hide your face, through the menu. You cover your face with the menu if you're in a restaurant. But don't do it. Don't do it, because that's just feeding into the jealousy. That's just feeding into the RJ, and that's just making it stronger. And so if this situation ever happens again, you're just going to get worse and worse and worse. You'll never improve. So that's kind of the fifth and final one there, is just really feel that trigger, but don't give into it. Don't give into it. Understand that it's just retroactive jealousy. It's just a form of OCD. Nothing bad's going to happen from here on out, and you can continue on with what you're doing. So I hope one of those at least was able to kind of resonate with you a little bit. This is a question that I get a whole lot, is, how do I deal with an ex, whether if they're a part of their life or just moments in time where I might see them in a restaurant or scrolling through social media and I bump into a picture of them. What can I do in those moments to calm the anxiety, calm the fight or flight, and not give into a compulsion? So I hope at least one of those resonated with you and you're able to put that to use in your everyday life in overcoming retroactive jealousy or just general relationship jealousy and insecurity altogether. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you want more information on retroactive jealousy, a little more help in overcoming, please be a member of the course, subscribe to the course. The link is below. Also, if you want to be a part of the free Retroactive Jealousy support group, that link is also below. You will automatically be approved for that once you click the link below, so no worries on that. You can join about 150 other people discussing retroactive jealousy each and every day, helping each other overcome it. So again, guys, thanks so much for watching. There'll be more videos to come. So until then, we'll see you next time.